When you're an adult, you have to parent yourself. Here's the rub. You're never, ever, ever, ever going to feel like doing the things you need to do in order to have what you want. You're always going to need to push yourself. You're always going to need to parent yourself.
How do you motivate yourself to do the things that you really want to do? How do you get past all of the procrastination and do the things that will truly change your life? I'm Sarah Kuhn, and I'm on a mission to help you become the best version of yourself, to love yourself as you are right now, to be wholly and unapologetically you, to be you. In this video, we're looking at some of the best advice that I've heard from one of my favorite motivational speakers, Mel Robbins. Mel has inspired people all over the world to change their lives with just one simple 5-second trick. Rule number 5 is my personal favorite, and I would love to hear what your favorite is too. If you hear something that really inspires you, make sure you leave it in the comments below. Here's Mel's 5 rules for success. Number 1, think about what you really want.
What do you suggest, Mel, for accessing what you really want? You know, I talk a lot about being honest with yourself about what you want. And if you're somebody that's watching this and you have no clue what you want, I'm going to say that's total bullshit. I think you've probably decided that either you can't have it because you don't think you're smart enough or good enough or worthy enough, or maybe you think you're too old, or you've told yourself that you can't make a living doing it. Both are complete and utter lies that you're telling yourself. What you need to do is ask yourself this. If you took money off the table, if you didn't give a shit what anybody else thought, what's the thing you would love to be doing with your life? Seriously. Do you dream of being a professional photographer? Do you want to open your own restaurant? You always thought about traveling the world and entertaining kids with your juggling skills? I don't know. It's your life. You get to choose what you want to do. Be honest with yourself. What is it that you would want to do with your life if you didn't have to pay the bills doing it? Another thing you can ask yourself, who do you find yourself sort of envious of? You know, like you look at their life and you just think, gosh, how awesome that they get to do that. Well, once you have that answer for yourself, you've gotten really honest, you've pushed the bullshit aside, and you've really asked it for yourself and answered the question honestly, all you got to do is explore it. That's it. Just find one thing that you can do to enrich and expand your knowledge about it. Find one course online, Google the topic, stalk people that are pursuing this line of work. That's how you start to do it, one step at a time. So start with answering the question, what do you really want, with a massive dose of honesty. Google the topic and find one thing that you can do, just one. Push yourself and start to explore it. If you were to wake up and do that every single day, spend 10 minutes a day, you would be startled, astonished by what your life looks like in a matter of a year or two.
Rule number 2, parent yourself.
You may or may not have seen the TED Talk that I gave a few years ago. One of the things that surprised me the most about that talk is that we hear from people around the world that write about one segment in particular. And let me play that segment for you because it sets up the conversation for today. And it's this concept of parenting yourself. When you become 18, nobody tells you that it's now going to be your job to parent yourself. And by parent yourself, I mean it's your job to make yourself do the crap you don't want to do so you can be everything that you're supposed to be. And you're so damn busy waiting to feel like it. And you're never going to. My son never feels like getting off his DS. That's my job. Get off the damn DS. Kendall, clean up the Barbies. If you're going to have a nude party in my bathroom, at least clean it up. God, chew with your mouth closed. We're not in a barn, for crying out loud. All right, dinner's coming. Get out of the pantry. As parents, and you were a kid, your parents make you do the things you don't feel like doing because you won't. Ever. Not now, not then, not ever. And even when you get good at something, you'll figure out something else you don't want to do. And then you'll plateau out and you'll get bored and you'll like, I hate this job, this is boring. But will you look for a new one? No. You'll just bitch about that one. It's very, very simple to get what you want, but it's not easy. Wow. That talk was 6 years ago. I cannot believe how little my kids were back then. And I also hate watching it because that was the first time I'd ever given a speech. So my voice is like really screechy and I swear, which I typically don't do on stage ever. So woof. Anyway, this concept of parenting yourself is really, really important for you to wrap your brain around. And let me dig into it just a little bit. I write extensively in part 2 of the 5-second rule book about how we make decisions and the fact that we make decisions not based on what we know we need to do, not based on our goals, but based on how we feel right now. It's your feelings that make the decision for you. It's one of the reasons why parents are so important for kids, because if we let it up to kids to do whatever they felt like doing, they'd never go to school, they'd never do their homework, they'd never use their manners, they'd never learn to eat correctly, they'd never do anything. They'd just sit around and watch TV all day. That's the job of a parent. What most of us don't realize, though, and this is what I was alluding to in the TED Talk, is that when you become 18, when you move out of the house, when you're an adult, you have to parent yourself. Here's the rub. You're never, ever, ever, ever going to feel like doing the things you need to do in order to have what you want. You're always going to need to push yourself. You're always going to need to parent yourself. So what is the net advice on this? What is the bottom line? The bottom line is no one's coming. No one. No one's coming to push you. No one's coming to tell you to turn the TV off. No one's coming to tell you to get out the door and exercise. Nobody's coming to tell you to apply for that job that you've always dreamt about. Nobody's coming to write the business plan for you. It's up to you. And because you're only ever going to do the things that you feel like doing right now or that feel good right now, unless you understand that you've got to parent yourself, you got to push yourself, you're not going to make your dreams come true. You're just not. We're not wired that way. You weren't born that way. You weren't that way when you were growing up, and you're certainly not that way as an adult. And there's a tremendous amount of liberation that comes when you accept the fact that you're always going to need to give yourself a push.
Rule number 3, true change takes only 5 seconds.
I just remember feeling this massive sense of despair. And my entire life, and this is probably the long-winded answer to the first question that you gave me, changed with one 5-second decision. And now what my job is I teach people around the world the power and the science behind making 5-second decisions. And if you are paying attention, you will start to notice that there's a 5-second window for all of us. There's a 5-second window between the moment that your inner wisdom, your instincts, your second brain, your gut, whatever you want to call it, all of that unique power that's in you that comes from your DNA, that comes from your life experiences, that comes from everything that you've learned in your life, situational intelligence, all of that, when it speaks to you and tells you to move, to speak, to take some form of action, you only got 5 seconds to move before your mind will talk you out of it.
Right, and you call it the emergency brake, right?
Yes, so what we do is we tend to pull the emergency brake because your mind is designed to do 3 things. Your mind, by design, does just 3 things. It basically regulates your body to keep you alive. It also, when you're sleeping, half of your mind shuts down and the other half catalogs everything that happened to you today so you can have memories. And the third thing that your mind does is it protects your ass. And the main way that it does that is it does that by magnifying risk. Magnifies any situation or any conversation. And so, what happened for me is I realized as my life was circling the drain and we're facing bankruptcy and Chris is on the couch, that this was not the situation that I wanted. I didn't want my life to end in divorce. I didn't want to be in financial ruin. I didn't want to be depressed. I didn't want to be anxious. And here's the truly screwed up thing. I knew what to do to fix it. See, this is the trap that most of us are in. Most of us know what we could do to change things for the better. And we spend our time and our energy talking ourselves out of doing those things. And the other thing that I convince people of, because this is so true, it's the littlest stuff. The little things make all the difference. And I could spend hours with you explaining the science of confidence and explaining the science of risk and explaining the science behind courage and explaining habit loops and how they get encoded in your brain. You don't need to know any of that because you're not applying for a PhD in psychology. I have done the work, and what I know is that true change comes down to 5-second windows. That moment that you know you need to do something that feels slightly uncomfortable, and your resignation, your excuses, your self-doubt start cranking up in your head, you got to move. You have to move. And so what happened for me is I invented a hack, a brain hack. It's the stupidest thing in the world. And it turns out that it's actually tremendously profound and powerful at a neurological level and at a scientific and a psychological level. When I invented it, I had no clue what I had invented. And it took me about 3 years from the moment that I invented it to actually realize that, holy shit, I think I've discovered the secret to changing anything.
And what was it?
So I called it the 5-second rule because I never intended to talk about it. It was a cheat to beat the alarm clock. Here's how it goes. The alarm rings in the morning. Most of us don't want to get out of bed, right? But we know we should. So I would go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The moment the alarm rang, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, just like NASA, what they do, they count down to launch a rocket ship. And the counting backwards kind of shut my mind off. And then suddenly at 1, I would stand up. And I would use this every single morning to get out of bed. And 9 years later, I still use it every single morning to get out of bed. I think some behavior you can learn and automate. Other stuff that you don't like doing, you're going to always have to push yourself. That's just how it is. And I noticed 2 things as I started to use it. I noticed that window where I'd be lying in bed and I'd have the knowledge that I should get up, but in my body I wouldn't feel it. And as I lied in bed, and you can try this tomorrow morning, set your alarm early, earlier than you normally do, and watch what happens. The alarm will go off and your mind knows that you said you would get up. Your mind has that wisdom, your gut has that wisdom. It's holding on to it, and then it starts to kind of nudge you with a little guilt. And then what'll happen is all of a sudden you'll start talking yourself out of doing the thing you said you would do.
Yeah, it's too cold, or I'm too tired, or...
And it happens in less than 5 seconds. And so what I know is that those are 2 different parts of your brain going at once. And if you go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you interrupt the habit of self-doubt and the habit of talking yourself out of it and shutting down the part of the brain that actually minimizes your power, and you awaken the part of the brain that is active in functional MRIs when you're trying to change. And so all you need to know to change anything is, A, you're never going to feel like it. You're never going to feel ready to start that business. You're never going to feel ready to have that hard conversation. You're never going to feel like getting out of bed. You're never going to feel like it's a good idea to apply for that promotion. We're designed to stay comfortable and safe. So if you know that you're A, never going to feel like it, and B, that no one's coming, it's up to you. You're not a kid anymore. I'm dead serious about this.
Yeah.
Like so many of you are waiting to be picked. By who? Are you making the most of your life? Yeah. And the answer is yes, if you pay attention to what you do in 5-second windows. Are you the kind of person that when your instincts come alive and they want to nudge you to go talk to that cute gal across the way or raise your hand in a meeting and share that idea? Are you the kind of person that pushes yourself to step into that, or do you pull back? That's the power of a 5-second decision, because you can't choose how you feel. You can't. Yeah, maybe you can go and become a Buddhist monk and meditate for 4 months and get full control of your physiology, and yeah, technically you can control how you feel, but you and I can't. We got a job, you got kids you got to raise. You can't, that's not possible. So you can do something else. You can actually disregard your feelings. You can become the kind of person that is so in tune with the values that you have and what you actually want, that when feelings rise up, you can choose to act however you want despite them. Even if you're tired, you can still go to the gym. Even if you're annoyed with your spouse, you can still speak in a manner that's loving. Even if you don't feel like doing that hard work, you can still push yourself to do it. Your feelings aren't a choice. Your behavior and your thoughts are always a choice.
Rule number 4, stop procrastinating.
Okay, how many procrastinators are in the room? Raise your hand. And everybody else is just procrastinating on raising their hand. I'm about to change your life because this piece of research changed mine. Procrastination has nothing to do with work. The people that write to us the most that struggle with procrastinating, PhD students, engineers, entrepreneurs, people that have a lot on their plate, that have a lot of things that they need to juggle, and that are analytical and thinkers by nature. Procrastination is a form of stress relief. What are you stressed about?
I want to get out of this business of real estate. I want to retire in the next 5 years, and I can't because I have not saved up. I have not gotten the money that I need to do that.
Bingo, and it makes you upset, doesn't it? Yeah. How many of you can relate to that? She said that what's stressing her out is she wants to retire. She hasn't saved up enough money. What's really stressing you out is finances and money and the fear that you have. What happens when you struggle with procrastinating, and thank you for being so honest, there's that stresses you out. Maybe you feel the same way. I mean, we felt that way. I know exactly what you're talking about. You carry around this dark cloud because you don't think you're gonna make it and you're stressed about money all the time. Or maybe your mom's health is declining and that really stresses you out. Or maybe your best friends are going through a divorce or you're going through a divorce and that really stresses you out. And so you walk around with this big ass thing on your shoulders all the time. And then you walk into work and you sit down and you've got a list of phone calls to make, which requires your prefrontal cortex. And your prefrontal cortex looks at the list and is like, oh my God, you want me to make 15 phone calls? I've been worried about the money all day. Can we just look at cat videos? I need a break. And next thing you know, 2 hours is gone. You've been online shopping, you've been looking at cat videos, and then of course you look at the 15 phone calls, you're like, I didn't make them, I didn't make them, I didn't make them. The research on procrastination is undeniable, it's black and white. Number one, all of you that procrastinate, procrastination's not the issue, it's stress. You're procrastinating to give yourself a little break at work. It's sort of like taking a smoking break almost, you know? You're just taking a break. So number one, because you're all stressed out and procrastinators are very hard on yourselves, this is gonna sound super stupid, but you gotta forgive yourself. You have got to actually have a talk with yourself where you feel yourself starting to procrastinate, you go, look, I know I really screwed up. I know I'm in a mess financially. I forgive myself. I'm just gonna do the best that I can. So you have to address the thing that's underneath it. So that self-awareness of knowing, oh my God, here's that stress again about finances screwing me over and preventing me from doing the small things that will actually fix my finances. Second thing that you're gonna do, procrastination's a habit, right? You get triggered by stress, the habit is to procrastinate. So when you get triggered by stress, your new habit is, oh, there's my stress again. I'm gonna actually tell myself, okay, you've done the best you can. It's okay, we're gonna do a little bit today. You're gonna create what we call starting ritual. A starting ritual is something that pushes you to start. The best one on the planet, the 5-second rule. So you've said, okay, there's my stress again. I forgive myself. Now we're gonna 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I want you to only work for 5 minutes. That's it, 5 minutes. Make phone calls for 5 minutes. Here's what we know based on the research. 80% of you will keep going. The trick is starting. You see, I want to break the connection between the trigger, which is stress, and the response, which is procrastination. And whenever you feel stress, which is normal, you have a choice. Here's that gap. In 5 seconds flat, the habit of procrastinating and beating yourself up will take over. Or you can close the gap, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you can make a different choice. I'm just gonna get started. I'm just gonna be okay with where I'm at, and I'm just gonna get started. Got it? Good.
Rule number 5, believe you deserve it.
So what I know about all of us, I was super stuck. The one thing that really marks that time was a ton of self-loathing and feeling worthless and shame and kind of all those really dark emotions. If you are somebody, which you are, that is smart, that is able to identify the things that you need to do, and you consistently don't do them, then there is an underlying story that you have about yourself that keeps playing out. And maybe you were, I don't off the top of my head know your story in terms of your past, but maybe you were in an abusive relationship. Maybe you were in a relationship as a child with parents that made you feel worthless. Maybe you had a huge setback and you haven't recovered from it. there is an element to where when it's self-sabotage, what happens for a lot of us is we take what somebody else used to do to us and do it to ourselves because it's the only thing you know. So were you in like an abusive relationship? For real? Was it physical abuse, sexual abuse? That can actually be worse. The issue for you is those tapes. And the issue for you is that the thinking that you're worthless and that you're stupid and that you're not good enough and that you can't do anything right, that it got so ingrained by some as screwed up as it sounds, if that's all that you've ever heard, it becomes the thing that you repeat, very much like learning a language. So if you think about the fact that as a kid, if you are in a household that speaks a certain language, let's say they're speaking Russian, you pick it up and then you don't even realize it, but you parrot it back, and when you're not thinking about it or when you get super tired, even if you've spoken English for 20 years, you might say something in Russian. And that's what you're going to war against. Can you tell me in your own words, what is the word that you use? Do you know, is it worthless? Is it don't deserve it? What did he used to say to you that really hurt? Dummy? The reason why you don't carve out time for yourself and the reason why you blow off the appointments for yourself, notice it's not for other people, it's for you, is because of this underlying feeling that you're not important. And the only way to break this, you've already gone to therapy, you've already dealt with the tapes, you don't use that language with yourself. The only way to break apart this story is through action now. The reason why I say that is because you can make all the plans in the world, but until you see yourself taking action on the things that are important to you, your own inaction enforces the story that you're a dummy. Does that make sense? So it sounds like through intensive therapy, you got rid of the tape, but you didn't get rid of the behavior. What happens when somebody is beaten down and psychologically battered is you become paralyzed, you doubt everything, you feel like you're spinning in circles, you feel like you can't rely on yourself. That is a classic manifestation of emotional abuse because you lose your power. And so you start spinning. And for you, you've stopped doing that in your head, and now you're just frustrated as hell because you can't see yourself moving forward. You're physically doing it in your life. So here's what I would like you to do. Let's pick one area where you feel stuck and where you know what you need to do. And what does that mean? See, dummy. Do you see this? I'm going to keep pointing it out because you've adopted the self-criticism. This is what I want you to do. I want you to run just for 1 week. That's it. I just want you every day for 1 week to push yourself, no matter how you're feeling, no matter how stupid you think it is, no matter how you now start feeling resigned that it's not going to work. I want you every single day to either watch something about SEO or put up one project, because I need for you to start to break the cycle of spinning in place, and I need for you to see yourself starting to inch forward. It's critical because you now need physical evidence that you can push yourself forward because you can't even hear how critical you are of yourself. I don't think there's anybody in your life but you that's saying it. Then the person that you're in a relationship with, could you ask that person to also police the way you talk to yourself? And what that means is when he points it out, you can't kill him. The reason why I'm telling you to ask somebody else to coach you when it comes to how you talk to yourself or how you talk to others is because you can't hear it. I can't hear my tone. So I have this edge that I get that is really good in business. But when I bring it into the kitchen and I talk to the kids that way, or I talk to Chris that way, it is really demoralizing. And I have started asking the kids and Chris to point it out because I can't hear it. I just know I'm tired or I know I'm frustrated. It's amazing. The kids have started even saying, hey, anger spreads. Just because you're angry at work doesn't mean you get the right to talk to me that way. So it makes me angry when they point that out. But then I go, oh, there it is. I didn't even realize. I'm sorry. And I've gotten better about now immediately not getting angry that somebody's telling me that when I've asked them to, but actually taking the feedback and saying, thank you. I don't want to talk to you that way. And you're right. Just because I'm frustrated with a phone call I just had doesn't mean I get to take it out on you. You got this. And look, if you've done that much therapy, you have all the tools. And the thing about the advice to you is that we try to self-improve in isolation. It is so much easier when other people are helping you. So much easier. Whether it's exercise, whether it's your tone of voice, whether it's staying motivated, really big distinction for me, not to change alone.
Rule number 6, focus on the work you put in.
I have a question. Are you frustrated because you haven't made it yet? Be honest. You start to think, I'm never going to find the time to make it happen. You'll never be talented enough. You could never be that funny, smart, or innovative, right? The truth is, 1 million likes online doesn't mean anything until you like yourself. $1 million in the bank ain't worth nothing if you've got no self-worth. So before you give up, you have to understand the only thing that matters is the work that you're putting in, not the end result. And if your social media feeds are bringing you down, just remember, you're only seeing the end game. Anyone who is truly successful did one thing, and it's the same thing that we all do. They put in the work. And that work is what you don't see online. Every single day you make choices. You choose to drive or you choose to slide into the passenger seat of life. Which is it gonna be? The thoughts you allow yourself to spend time on determine if you get what you want, because your dreams matter, but you're the one who's gonna have to make them happen. I mean, look at this post from Lin-Manuel Miranda, the creator of Hamilton. This was 3 years before Hamilton hit Broadway, and he was ready to give up. Ed Sheeran, he was working on his dreams way before he was a Grammy Award-winning artist. Are you working? If you're not working, are you waiting for permission? Stop. You don't need permission. You just need to push yourself, to take that first step, and then to keep going. Will you fail along the way? Of course. And you know what? I hope so. And here's why. A study of entrepreneurs found that when you fail once, you double your chances of success. Failure doesn't make you give up. Failure happens when you give up. Those of you who succeed are the ones who get back up over and over and over again. Wait, what did you say? You're afraid of judgment? Of people criticizing you? Welcome to the Success Club. You don't belong if you don't have haters. Lady Gaga had so many people who doubted her that they formed online groups around the topic of her failure. It's a great sign when you have critics because it's life testing. How bad do you want it? Instead of thinking game over, how about thinking game on? Don't wait to feel ready because that's not gonna happen. The bottom line, it's keep going, because no one is coming to save you. No one is coming to do the work for you. No one is coming to walk over and turn off Netflix. No one is coming to tell you to get out the door and go on a run. No one is coming to tell you to pick up the phone and make the phone call. It's up to you, and it's always going to be up to you. And whether you succeed or whether or not you fail is up to you. Your dreams, they don't expire. And that's why every single day you got to wake up and you got to renew your commitment to that dream by trying one more time every single day.
Rule number 7, have a routine.
My night routine is very simple. Complete the day and leave no tasks that I have to finish in the morning. It's that's it. And so it's not necessarily that I have a specific order, but there are particular things that I do. Number one, totally set up the kids. So that means pack their lunches. It means get the backpacks ready if it's school season and get them by the door. It means if there's any forms that need to be filled out or printed or anything else, if they are printed, they are ready to go. So kids are handled. Second thing, I want the kitchen clean. I don't ever want to wake up in the morning and walk in there and see crap that I have to do. I don't want dishes in the sink. I don't want things on the counter. And so I make sure that the kitchen is clean, that the counters are cleared off, and that there is nothing I need to do in the kitchen because it will distract me in the morning. I will feel guilt. I will feel obligated to get that done. Third thing that I do is I tend to set out the stuff for breakfast. And the reason why I do that is because my kids will wake up at various times. And so if I've got that thing set up, I've just bought myself a couple more minutes of quiet in the morning before the parade of children come running down the stairs, starving and wanting breakfast. The other thing that I do is I go to my computer and I print out the day calendar for the day ahead. And then I take that printout and I take my notebook that has all of my travel and kind of everything that's laid out for the business that I run and my speaking schedule and the stuff related to the kids, and I move it all to the kitchen. Now, why am I doing this? I'm doing this so that when I leave my bedroom in the morning and I walk into the kitchen to have 30 minutes of quiet time for myself, to get focused, to plan my priorities, everything's set. It's all been handled. There's no thinking involved. It's amazing. Then, once that's all handled, I turn off all the lights, I lock the front door. When I walk into my bedroom, the very first thing that I do, I set my alarm, and then I plug my phone in my closet. That is the single most important aspect of my evening routine.
Rule number 8, empty your brain.
I am going to disappear overwhelm using a simple pitcher, mason jar, and a garden variety spiral notebook. I know. I'm not kidding. I'm actually going to disappear overwhelm. Overwhelm is something that you want to fight, because if you allow yourself to stay in a state of feeling overwhelmed by the amount of things that you have to do, that pressure and that uncertainty combined with this feeling that you can't get anything done is going to create anxiety in your life. It's going to impact not only your well-being, but it's also going to severely limit your ability to focus and get things done. So the most important thing with overwhelm is to understand what it is and a simple tool that you can use to get rid of it. So here's what we're going to do. So let's pretend that this right here, this empty mason jar, is your brain. In order to do your best thinking, you need to make sure that you've got the full capacity of your brain leveraged and pointed at the things that are important to you. Here's the problem. When you go through life, as you go through life, what happens is, your brain starts to fill up with information, and that's what creates a state of feeling overwhelmed. Being overwhelmed is nothing more than having a full brain. So as you go through your day-to-day life and you start checking email and looking at texts and looking at Facebook and sitting in meetings and flipping through television channels and sending emails and writing Excel spreadsheets and running and picking up the kids at work and getting another text and looking at Instagram and looking at Twitter and checking out the news, your brain gets pretty full, doesn't it? And so when you feel overwhelmed, what I know about you is that your brain is full of a bunch of garbage. And so, I didn't think about the drain draining. I hope that's not bothering you, but it's certainly going to bother me. What you need to do in order to fight overwhelm is you've got to actually do a brain dump. You got to get rid of all that stuff so that you've got an empty brain so you can focus again. So how do you do that? It's easy to do with a cup of water because you just pour it out. This is what you're going to do. You are literally going to dump out everything that's in your head onto this piece of paper. Every concern, every worry, every to-do, everything that's bothering you, that you're thinking about, you're going to write down. All right, and when you're done writing down everything that's in your head and there's absolutely nothing left, got something due tomorrow that I kind of forgot about. Once you get that stuff all down on a piece of paper, pull out a highlighter. Take a look. You could do everything on this list. You could. But what should you do? What are 3 things, just 3, that you should do in order to advance the things that matter to you? Let's see. I got to do that one. I got to do that one. And I got to do that one. The rest of this list is complete and utter garbage. It's other people's stuff. It's the email stuff. It's the meeting stuff. It's the stuff that's not all that important to me. It's not that mission critical. So by dumping everything out, I now not only have the 3 things I need to do, I've got a clear head so I can get it done.
Rule number 9, do less.
In this video, I'm going to show you the specific way that you can use the 5-second rule to increase your productivity. Now first, let's talk a little bit about productivity as a concept. Productivity is not about blasting through your to-do list and doing more. It's actually about doing less. Productivity is the ability to make progress on the things that matter to you. It sounds simple, right? I mean, just move the ball down the field on the important stuff. But it's not easy. Why? Blame your feelings. You see, you're capable of being more productive. You're just waiting to feel like doing what you need to do. And guess what? You're never going to crack the whip on yourself when you have a million other things that you need to do and you got people that are making demands on you. One thing that you must understand is that you have the power to decide what's important. And productivity actually boils down to simple 5-second decisions. Here's one that you need to start making immediately that will have a tremendous impact on your ability to be productive. When the alarm goes off, do you wake up early to work on your business, or do you blow it off because you don't feel like it, you're tired? Or do you stick to the plan to finish some important tasks, or do you mainline Facebook instead because, you'd just rather relax? When you change your decisions, you'll change everything. Because productivity boils down to the ability to make small 5-second decisions that put the things that are important first. And here's one 5-second decision that will make you more productive than any other. Get up 30 minutes earlier than you normally do and push yourself to work on the most important priorities first. This isn't just me. Research shows that your most productive hours are the first 2 to 3 hours after you wake up and get ready. This means that for peak productivity, you've got to do whatever you can do to make sure the most important work to you gets done first during that window of time. So here's how you're going to use the rule. The moment your alarm goes off and you want to hit the snooze button, use the rule. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, push yourself out of bed. Then use the rule again. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Sit down and get working on the things that matter to you instead of checking your phone, instead of letting your day get hijacked. You see, the moment you feel yourself wanting to give in to distraction, you're going to use the rule again. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Do a search control and get back on task to the things that matter to you. It doesn't really matter how busy you are. We're all busy. If you really care, you'll find the time. And that's how you're going to use the rule, to find the time to work on things that matter to you. This is what Rachel did. She wanted to change her life, so she decided to make progress on what was important. And she did this by starting with getting up earlier, getting out of bed, and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, focusing on what mattered. And as you can see, that small 5-second decision, getting up 30 minutes earlier, started a chain of events that changed her entire life. She lost 30 pounds, she bought her first home, and she reinvigorated her marriage. Why? The reason why is because she learned how to beat the feelings and excuses that stopped her, and she found the time to work on things that matter. That is the definition of productivity. Getting the important stuff done only works when you push yourself to do it. And when you push yourself, 5-second decision, to wake up earlier and start your day off right, you will be shocked by what changes it ignites. This is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to productivity. There are tons of strategies that I discuss that are based in research in Chapter 10 of the 5-Second Rule book, and how you can use all of this research in combination with the 5-second rule to not only become more productive, but to end procrastinating forever, to regain your focus whenever you get distracted, and lots of other things that are going to help you improve your quality of work and also your life. The book is available on Amazon, barnesandnoble.com, and at your local bookstore. Oh, and by the way, your 5-Second Rule book also comes with 31 video mentoring sessions to deepen your mastery of the rule for lasting results. Now, these mentoring sessions will be delivered to your email inbox for free, and information on how to get these videos is on the very last page of the book. And to learn more about the 5-Second Rule and other research-backed strategies to help you live your best life, there's a ton of free resources at melrobbins.com. If you ever have the instinct to reach out, please use the 5-Second Rule and make yourself do it. Just tag me on social media using the hashtag 5-Second Rule, or shoot me an email at hello@melrobbins.com. I love hearing from you. Now, give us a few days to get back in touch with you, but we will absolutely respond if you take the time to trust your instincts and reach out. Look, it takes 5 seconds to change your life. So the next time you feel yourself hesitate or your instincts come alive, that's the moment to stop thinking.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and start living.
And last but not least, rule number 10, practice confidence.
Here's something that every single woman needs to know. Harvard Business School just wrote up about this study where they asked a ton of managers across different industries, what is the number one reason why you're not promoting your female, people that you're managing? Do you know what the manager said? Number one reason. I thought she lacked the confidence for the new role. Now here's the kicker. A kick in the gut, by the way, is that the managers were uncomfortable telling you, the woman, that she lacked confidence. Well, because they didn't want to be called sexist, and more importantly, they had no idea how to actually coach somebody into becoming more confident. If you're perceived as confident, you make more money, you advance faster, you have more satisfaction in what you're doing. And the thing that I want every single woman on the planet to understand is that confidence is not a personality trait. You can be extroverted and talk a lot and have zero belief in yourself. That's how I used to be. I used to be the loudmouth, bossy person that didn't believe a word that was coming out of my mouth, didn't like myself, none of it. There are tons of folks that are insecure, that it's uncomfortable to talk into a meeting. You're not lacking confidence, you believe in your ideas, you're lacking the courage to actually step out of your comfort zone. The one piece of advice that I want every single woman to know is that there are two kinds of work. There's visible work and there's invisible work. You only get credit for visible work. Visible work is how you behave in a meeting. That's a very, very important place to practice the skill of confidence. What do you do to practice the skill of confidence? Number one, stop taking notes and just take note. If you have an important meeting, I used to be a lawyer, and you need all the details, hit the memo transcribe thing on your phone. Let Siri take the notes for you. Then take that file, go straight to YouTube, make it a private file, upload it. You know what YouTube will do?
Transcribe it.
Transcribe it for free.
So
now you got your notes. But I don't ever want to see you in a meeting like this. Not like this.
Because what is that?
You're in a visible place.
Yeah.
What you're projecting is that you're not part of the meeting. You're just there taking notes. Your physicality is bent over, so now your brain is focused on transcribing. I want you sitting back. I want you jotting, taking note about a few things, and then I want you to do something that may feel uncomfortable. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Do not leave a meeting without ever talking. Don't do it. It is a very visible place for you to be seen. Here's another thing I want you to do. If you're uncomfortable sharing your ideas, and I have been startled by the number of people that write us from around the world that say that their biggest fear in their career was actually speaking in meetings and sharing their ideas. Biggest fear. And they started using the 5-second rule, changing everything about their career trajectory. So one of the things I want you to do in meetings, obviously just take note, don't take notes. I want you to speak in a meeting. If you're uncomfortable, you don't have to share an idea, comment. I know we're wrapping up, but I just wanted to say in listening to all these ideas, I think Shelby's suggestion was a really important strategic consideration that I really liked a lot. That's it. Now, did you pick up on one word that I used?
No.
Strategic. They have done studies. This is psycho research, because it'll make you really mad when you hear this. They've done studies where they coach women executives to use the word strategic in visible settings. Conversations with your bosses, how you behave in meetings, emails. Within 1 year of coaching women, just to say the stupid word, strategic, strategery.
Strategery,
yes. The annual reviews and the remarks for how executives are perceived as strategic contributors jumps dramatically.
Just by saying the word.
By using the word. Here's another thing to pay attention to. Your emails. Are they to the point? Do you have the confidence to write an email that is to the point, or do you ramble and go all over the place and the I thinks and explain yourself? So the most important thing that you can develop and work on for yourself, particularly for women, is the skill of confidence. Pay attention to visible versus invisible work. Raise your visibility by practicing small acts of confidence. Use the 5-second rule to interrupt the habits of taking notes, of saying I'm sorry, of writing long-winded emails, of not elevating your ideas. And you'll be surprised by what happens.
Thank you so much for watching. I would love to know what clip inspired you the most and how you're going to apply it in your life. Make sure you leave it in the comments below. If you want more information and inspiration, make sure that you click on the link below to sign up for my weekly newsletter. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this video inspires you to be the best version of yourself, to love yourself today, right now, as you are, to be wholly and unapologetically you, to be you. I'll see you soon.